What's up, guys? Okay, we're going to be in Alabama. This is going to be with Tony Mitchell. I did the original video, God, it would have been December, I guess. And we have some new developments. Anyway, Tony Mitchell was held for nearly 2 weeks in a concrete cell known as the freezer at the Walker County Jail. The medical examiner said he froze to death. Meanwhile, Sheriff Nick Smith denies any wrongdoings and is seeking re-election. Tony Mitchell suffered from mental illness, and criminal charges against Alabama guards have been pretty steady. Again, the sheriff says he's done nothing wrong, and this is where we're at 3 years later.
The rural town of Jasper in Walker County, Alabama, federal investigators have spent the last 3 years piecing together what happened to Anthony Tony Mitchell in a bare cement cell over...
Also, 82% of people that watch these videos are not subscribed to the channel. Click the button, it's free.
2 weeks in January 2023.
No sheriff anywhere in the United States, Alabama, wants to see anybody pass away in a jail, whether it's natural causes, whether it's something.
This is where we're at in law enforcement. Please stop. They look like shit, they act like shit.
Different. Nobody wants to see that.
On January 12th, 2023, 33-year-old Tony Mitchell appeared at the doorway of his cousin Steve's home, ranting about portals to heaven and hell. Steve called 911, and an operator dispatched the Walker County Sheriff's Office. Deputies found Mitchell bedraggled and incoherent, his face spray-painted black. Prosecutors later alleged he fired a weapon at officers. He was arrested and taken to the Walker County Jail. For Mitchell's family, the arrest was shocking.
My mom calls me and it's like, she's like, Stevie called the police because Tony had walked over there and he wasn't in his right mind. And we were all obviously like distraught when it first happened. And then we're like, okay, he's in jail. This has to be rock bottom, right? There was a sense of relief of like, okay, he's safe.
Like so many young men and women in Appalachia, Tony Mitchell had fallen into drug abuse. The young man who'd once been a class clown and a basketball player had become increasingly unstable. But the family were told Tony would be safe inside the jail, but he wasn't.
I get a call from my mom. She's like, I'm headed to the hospital because I think Tony's dead.
The neglect and abuse that Mitchell was subjected to over the next 2 weeks in jail has been laid out in more than a dozen plea agreements signed by jail employees and medical contractors. Indeed, almost half the entire staff of the Walker County Jail who were working at the time of Mitchell's death has been indicted in the federal investigation, which is still ongoing.
It is absolutely sickening, and you know, to use language from our own tradition, it's sinful.
Pastor Ryan Cagle is a local activist who's fought to keep Mitchell's story alive and has led protests seeking justice for him.
It needs to be called out and it needs to be taken care of because we all have to live here, and Tony could have been any number of people in this community.
The undisputed highest law of the land in Walker County is Sheriff Nick Smith. First elected in 2018, Smith's office sits just upstairs from the bare cell, known as BK5, where Tony Mitchell...
Just upstairs. He had no clue what was going on.
...froze to death. He
allegedly
invited USA Today to tour his jail. I didn't think when I started this story that he'd ever let us come in and film here and actually see where this happened. I mean, the number of times I've watched the videos of what happened, presumably just through those doors, it's pretty weird feeling.
You raised the Sally Port?
This is where it took place, right here, right? This is where the
video that's
the video where it was leaked. Yeah, it was right here. Yeah. Okay. Kind of similar time of year, right? I mean, it was, I think, January or February, right?
Mid-January. The The difference between this case and a lot of these other cases under other sheriffs is the fact that we had video cameras in this jail that the other sheriffs didn't. Outside agencies worked this investigation, and outside agencies didn't work these other investigations.
Tony Mitchell, I would say, as an objective observer, was treated really, really badly. Do you think, is that fair to say?
Now, it's easy to make that determination that you're saying when you're spoon-fed every day a handful of videos.
Well, but there's the documentation. I mean, these people have signed, they've written detailed plea deals in which they detail all the things that happened, like on a day-to-day basis, like this happened. They've expressed remorse, they've expressed regret. I mean, it seems like a pretty objective thing that there was mistreatment going.
You know, and again, like I told you, I won't even really comment on the fact of people who have pled to things because of just my experiences with the justice system.
I just feel like we should just acknowledge that something bad did happen.
There's something happened that required change.
Okay.
Yeah. So in 2019, when I got elected, we started with getting the jail to code. Once we got the jail up to code, I started pushing for 24/7 medical then. Because of budget constraints and things at the commission office, the only place that I could get them to was 16 hours a day. So, you know, I have documented proof of a lot of things that I asked for way before this ever happened. So this is our booking area and then our lockdown dorm. So where it's green, there's someone in those cells. So it monitors the heart rate and respiratory rate. So if they were to quit breathing or there be an abnormal, you know, something abnormal with that, it would set off an alarm. My goal is to try to get those health monitors through the entirety of the jail.
Smith's arguments aren't sufficient for critics like Pastor Ryan.
And I think the improvements that have been made with like the monitoring systems and all those things are wonderful and great. But the same thing I told him to his face when he announced they were going to do that. I was like, well, what happens when one of your employees decides to ignore that system? Those things that have been put in place are not in themselves a solution to the problem, because the issue is not because there wasn't the right equipment. The issue was because there's a culture of abuse and harm. I didn't know Tony personally at all. But to me, I don't understand people seeing this issue and seeing what's going on and thinking they shouldn't speak up. Here we are 3 years later and he's still in power. He's still spouting the same stuff. He's still talking about being persecuted. He's still running for sheriff again.
Are you concerned about being charged yourself at some point?
I don't believe that to be the case. And if, you know, I think that I've tried to do things the right way. As long as I'm sheriff, I can't speak for the sheriffs after me and so forth, and I would assume that if they've watched what I've gone through, that cell will never be used again. It's just going to be used it'll be used as storage.
It actually says here, right? No inmate to be placed in this cell. Yeah.
I tried to do the right things and I tried to do the right steps. I'll be the first to tell anybody I'm not perfect. My heart goes out to them and their family. Obviously, nobody should have to go through what they've gone through. But, you know, I still believe in the process, and I do think that if we're really looking for transparency and accountability, that's what this is.
He was, you know, someone's brother, someone's son, like he was someone's friend. He was a person, and like that's enough. He actually doesn't have to have any relation to anyone to matter. He was a human being.
So, let's go to the next one. Since the news didn't really want to give you much insight on how they treated him, here we are.
Well, it has now been nearly 3 years since 33-year-old Tony Mitchell died after 2 weeks inside the Walker County Jail. According to federal court filings, Mitchell suffered horrible, inhumane conditions. Tonight, the I-Team's Cynthia Gould has an exclusive interview with a family member asking how his call for help could end so tragically.
Now, we're not going to do most of this video, most of this interview. I just wanted to show you actually what was going on.
You don't treat animals that way.
Over the last 3 years, a growing list of jailers and medical staff charged in connection with Tony Mitchell's death.
A lack of oversight in the jail, and
she's accepted responsibility for her inaction.
There are terrible circumstances, a sad situation for everybody involved.
Tony's first cousin, Steve Mitchell, haunted by questions of why so many did not step in to help.
But when you hear at least 20 people,
astonished me.
Medical, correctional officer, mental health, walked past.
To me, that's an atrocity, and that you can torture an inmate like that, and so many people knew it. And from what we can tell, from what I saw, they were actually laughing at it. You know, they're tasing him. It is a failure of humanity. That's exactly what it is. Humanity failed him. You can cut and dry it any way you want, but torture's torture.
Was this murder?
In my opinion, absolutely. Absolutely. It was calculated. It wasn't just murder, it was calculated.
He has no clothes on.
They knew what they were doing.
Federal court documents reveal Tony Mitchell was held in a cold cell with no toilet or access to water, no mental or medical evaluation, often nude, without a blanket or even a mat. Family says they were never called or warned his condition was worsening.
911, what's your emergency?
It was Steve Mitchell who first called 911 for a welfare check in January of 2023 after Tony arrived at his house unrecognizable.
This person was slumped over, stringy hair, and my son comes back and says, "Dad, back to the house.
Here he is.
I've got to put..."
This is him before he really started going downhill. Now let's get to the... Hold up.
It's cold. Very, very.
And one of the spokespeople for the jail, or whomever, for the sheriff's office is going to say, well, he was alive when he left, and at the hospital, he sat up in the bed and had a heart attack. You're going to be able to tell right here. I don't know if he's dead or alive here, but I know he is not conscious, and I'll show you why.
Cold, non-responsive and cold. She couldn't believe it. She was astonished.
Right there. If you have any wherewithal about yourself, when somebody puts you down, and you know the ground's right there, and you know your head might hit it, you will lift your head up as you're going to the ground. He did not.
At what he looked like. And
they knew damn well I'm betting he was dead there.
And it was just heartbreaking for her when she saw her son laying there.
Mitchell accuses sheriff spokesperson T.J. Armstrong of lying.
Mr. Armstrong said that when I was talking to him on the phone that Tony was alive at the hospital, and that he had set up in the bed, on the hospital bed, and that as soon as he set up on the hospital bed, he had a massive heart attack and died. It's hard to believe.
It's extremely hard to believe because I know they're full of shit. Here we go.
And sepsis due to medical neglect.
Did you see any way the higher-ups, the jail administrator, the sheriff, didn't know this was going on for 2 weeks?
I don't know what Nick knew and he didn't know, but I do know this. If you didn't know, that within itself is a terrible, terrible synopsis to your job.
Mitchell explained Tony's downward spiral began after his father's death just months earlier. So different from the person he once knew.
Tony was a gentle giant. Everybody that knew Tony, he was magnetic. You would love Tony if you knew him. Remember that Tony was a human being. You know, he was charismatic. He loved life. He enjoyed people. And just think about one thing. This could have been your child.
Now, Sheriff Nick Smith and the Walker County Commission have repeatedly declined to comment on the case. TJ Armstrong is no longer with the sheriff's office. He also declined comment. Civil lawsuits brought by the family have settled as the criminal investigations are continuing. Cynthia Gould.
Thank you, Cynthia. Where are we at right now?
Walker County Sheriff and Chief Deputy have been indicted by a grand jury. Good evening. I'm Sherry Jackson.
And I'm Carly Lang. They were arrested this morning. The charges stem from the Walker County Sheriff's Office allegedly employing non-certified police officers. We have team coverage of the indictments tonight. Our Maddie McQueen has reaction from the community. But first, we begin with CBS 42's Scott Minshaw. He joins us now live from the Sheriff's Office. Scott, what all led up to these indictments?
Well, Carly, as you mentioned, these are relating to 6 officers who the Walker County Sheriff's Office allegedly hired and employed who are not APOS certified, which means they aren't eligible to be law enforcement officers here in Alabama.
Not even eligible to do the job that they've been paid to do. Let that sink in.
Now, 4 of those 6, according to the indictments, were school resource officers, which...
in the schools with your children.
Which the indictment states Nick Smith knew they weren't allowed to be. Tonight, warrants have been executed against Walker County Sheriff Nick Smith and Chief Deputy Ralph Williams. They stem from grand jury indictments that charge Smith with 6 misdemeanor counts of violating Article of Standards for employing law enforcement officers. The indictment states 4 of those officers worked in Walker County schools as school resource officers.
Wonder what their background looked like.
Carrying guns and wearing uniforms, which none of them were certified to do. It says the other 2 were employed as deputies, carrying out duties of a law enforcement officer, which they were not certified to do. The indictment states Sheriff Smith had knowledge of the men's ineligibility to serve. Chief Deputy Ralph Williams is facing 1 count of false and or misleading information. His indictment alleges Williams lied to APOST, saying one of the men serving as a deputy had been terminated, when in fact he was still working for the Walker County Sheriff's Office. Carly, Sherry, we've been here all day and we've been watching the parking spot you're looking at now, which is this parking spot that's slotted for Sheriff Nick Smith. We've been trying to get with him all day. Someone just pulled in, so we'll keep an eye on this. But I do want to let you know I spoke with the Walker County District Attorney, Bill Adair, earlier today. He tells us that he's going to be holding a press conference tomorrow morning about these indictments. Until then, he says he's going to have no comment about these indictments. Reporting live in Walker County, Scott Mitchell, CBS.
Thank you, Scott. So, yeah, ineligible to hold the position of deputy sheriff. Of course they are. Why would that surprise anybody? I'm just saying, I don't understand how people are shocked about this anymore. Anyway, I don't know where that little crackhead went, but there he is. There's your standards right there. That's where we're at with this one. Let me know what you think about it in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. Also, again, like 82% of people that watch these videos are not subscribed to the channel. Click the button. It's free. Let me know what you think about this one, and I'm out.